This is chapter 1.2 for biology. We're going to start with reviewing a little bit what we talked about, that video, that TED Ed video. In chapter 1.2 talks about these ideas that scientists need to have. They need to, that's not a great look. They need to be curious about the world around them. They need to be open-minded, creative, and they need to be a skeptic sometimes, asking, well, I don't know if that's actually true. That doesn't really sound like it's good science, for example. What's the difference between a theory and a law? A theory is a well-tested explanation about something. It accounts for many observations that have taken place and many hypotheses that have been tested. What a theory essentially is, it's led scientists to make a very good prediction. An example that we're going to talk about biology is the theory of evolution. A theory is an accepted hypothesis, and it can't be proven. Okay, so that's a theory. It's an accepted hypothesis, well tested, like the theory of evolution. It can't be proven. The difference between a theory and a law explains things, and it can be proven, like the law of gravity. You can prove that that exists. Scientists, like yourselves, since you're in a science class, okay, but like if you go to a university, and we'll take a look at some journal articles on biology this year, but they have to communicate with each other. So if one scientist is studying Alzheimer's, and specifically if Alzheimer's can be inherited, like being passed down from generations, and another scientist is studying the exact same thing, and they're looking at the exact same part of the brain, or maybe the part of the neuron, which is the brain cells. They're both doing the same work at the same time, and one scientist finds this great discovery, and so does this scientist. It seems like they're kind of wasting their time, doesn't it? Unless they're competing for finding that discovery. But they go to search for information or to find out what other scientists are working on online, or in these what are called peer-reviewed journal articles. They'll go search and they'll find out at the University of Minnesota in the Twin Cities, this scientist just published this article, and this is what they did, and this is what they found. And so you can find out, oh, somebody already did that. I should probably research this instead. Or they haven't done this, so maybe I should research. And they communicate and they keep each other accountable through something called peer review. It's when other scientists review the work before it's published. So I'm talking about these places, like one, I'll just pull it up. It's called PubMed. Okay, it's a scholarly journal article house, so you can just search something that you're interested in. So maybe it's something that's impacting you. Give me an idea. Maybe it's ALS. That's what my uncle died of. Okay, ALS. Therapy for LAS. ALS genetics. Wondering if there's a genetic link. So motor neuron diseases in sub-Saharan Africa. The need for more population-based studies. That really doesn't sound interesting or applicable to me. So you can look up different diseases and find different articles that have been published by scientists that did this research on these specific things. Let's go back to your notes here. So before they can get them published in these scholarly journal article places, they need to have their work reviewed before it is published by other scientists that are in a similar field of study. The reason why scientists practice this, they want to make sure the work, the research that's done, meets the standards of the scientific community. All right. So some scientist doesn't just make up a whole bunch of data and say, look what I found. I found the cure to ALS, and publishes an article, or wants to publish an article, and so they just can't do and publish bad science. Essentially, is what it tries to prevent. Peer review, where peers, other scientists, review the work and check to make sure it's all right. So you'll often read, or you can sort through journal articles online and click that you want them to be peer reviewed, so then you know that other scientists have approved of the work. So scientists, just like other careers, like doctors, nurses, teachers, police officers, things like that, they need to abide by good ethics and morals. What does ethics mean? Or what are morals? You know what morals? When I say morals, you probably say, well, that you do the right thing. You don't steal, you don't lie. Those are morals. Ethics is a personal belief that people have, or they think like it's not ethical to do that. It's not ethical for me as a teacher to go out with students and hang out, like go to your birthday parties and hang out with all of you just by myself. That wouldn't be ethical for me to do that type of thing. So doctors have ethics, like they're not going to prescribe medication to someone that doesn't need that medication, right? So ethics. Scientists need to also abide by ethics. They shouldn't be making up data. Scientists have been sued for this sort of thing. Doctors have been sued for practicing without a license. Also, they need to treat everything with respect. There's a term called bias. Maybe you know what it means. It's just a certain preference or point of view that's personal rather than scientific. We all have biases, and that's okay, but you shouldn't let that impact your work in science. Like, I have a political bias, or you might have a religious bias, or a bias against somebody that likes the Vikings over the Packers, right? Personal bias. It's not scientific. Lastly, we talked about this, just to review quick. Science is the study of biology, and chapter 1's just laying down the basis for what we're going to do. This is towards the end of chapter 1, but so biology is the study of life, and it's very, very broad, meaning a lot of different sciences, specific type of sciences are within biology. Like, my major is biology, but I took all sorts of classes: immunology, genetics, cell biology, ecology, immunology, physiology, okay, all the ologies I took. These are just a few examples of some fields of study. Actually, becoming more popular is molecular biology, small scale, underneath a microscope, cool lab stuff. You can there's lots of careers for NCIS type of stuff, or research type of stuff with molecular biology. It's actually pretty cool. Ecology, DNR, that type of stuff, wildlife, fisheries, working out in nature. Global ecology, looking at ecology around the world, comparing ecosystems, looking at global warming and/or receding polar ice caps, lots of different things going on in the world. Biotechnology is related to molecular biology, finding different vaccines, different ways to treat different bacterial diseases like strep throat, for example. And then there's also disease biology, which would be awesome. I love diseases. Not that people get them, but I love learning about them, and how they work, how you get them, how do you get rid of them. Building the tree of life. We will do a little of this in biology. how things are organized. Scientists love to organize things, and that's just an example. And that is the end of 1.2.